All right, Scott Evans, again, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm well, thank you. So, Scott, you are best known as a co-anchor for Access Hollywood, as well as your work with All Access and Access Daily. So tell me, how did your journey with entertainment journalism begin?
Oh gosh, how did it all begin?
How did it all begin?
Well, in a world. um, how did it all begin? I think the real start for me was a experience that I had in the third grade, right? This like playing a young Reggie Miller against a young Larry Bird for the player intro videos for the Pacers. Like that was the first taste of like, oh wait, this is a job. Like performing in front of a camera, like for an audience, is like a thing that people get paid for. Yeah, I want to do that. But as far as like entertainment and journalism, like the storytelling, so to speak, it was in a program in Indianapolis. I was a part of this organization called Indiana Black Expo,
Mhm.
and the one of the youth development programs they had was called YVI, Youth Video Institute. And so we learned the basics of video production, the basics of storytelling through the video medium. And I fell in love with the idea of like how you can be in a room thinking about a thing, knowing that other people share the feeling about a thing or could use the information about that thing. How do you get it to them? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? This is before, like, I remember YouTube launched
Mhm.
while I was working and
Okay.
learning through this program. And so, yeah, I mean, it was like we aired on the MTV2 affiliate in Indianapolis. And so we were this youth produced directed television show called 360 Degrees. Still my email today from that show. And yeah, man, I fell in love. And the I was a segment producer and a camera operator. I was not on camera at all until one day I was producing this series and the talent couldn't be on the shoot. So I did it.
Okay.
And the guy
Okay.
I was interviewing was like, you're good at this.
I just kind
And
of
I've
fell
been
into
doing it ever
place.
since.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, what do you enjoy the most about being involved with this business? What have you gained from it?
I think the thing that I enjoy the most is the ability to help amplify the voices of people all around the world, right? So like if it's a cast or a cast and crew for a film or television show or production, if it's the story of this young dancer who decided to raise money for Black Lives Matter
Mhm.
during the height of the pandemic and the aftermath of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor's deaths. This kid was dancing every day to raise money and to bring awareness to a story that he felt like was really important. And so my job on from my perspective is to help amplify those voices. And I think that for me is the most rewarding aspect of my job. But I will say personally, on like a kind of selfish note, I also love to be able to surprise my family, right, with things or shout outs or
Mhm.
experiences that we would otherwise not be able to have. Being able to take my mom to the studio opening of Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta, and for
Mhm.
her to be able to touch and smile and shake hands and meet and laugh and drink with people that she has loved all of her life was a really, really special thing. And so this work has gifted me in so many ways,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
those I think are the most rewarding.
Awesome. Totally get that. Yes.
Yeah.
And now your first interview for Access Hollywood was with Taylor Swift. Is that correct?
I wasn't even with Denny. I wasn't even with Access Hollywood at the time. I was a guest correspondent. It
Okay.
was my first interview. I didn't even know I was a guest correspondent until they called me and said, "We have Taylor Swift on Thursday. Can you be there?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's Tuesday." you know? But yeah, she was my first interview, and I was terrified.
I,
It was supposed to be 7 minutes. I was used to 15 to 25-minute interviews.
yeah.
And so to have a 7-minute interview and to be given pages of questions and topics they wanted to discuss and posts of other people that they wanted her to comment on, like I was like, there's what am I, how am I going to pull this off? Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to do this? And the 7 minutes went to I think 23 minutes, ended up being
Uh,
like a four um 4-segment piece, right?
Mhm.
Like this one interview was able to spawn like 4 different segments on the show. And at the end of the interview, Taylor said to me, I don't know what just happened. Like, did you get what you needed? Because like I was just having a really good time with you, and that did not feel like an interview at all. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's either a compliment or something I need to work on.
It is a compliment. You made a genuine connection with her and you just lost track of time. And I think that's the best feeling in the world. It honestly is.
Yeah, I mean, and when you can, with someone who is has literally been interviewed by every single person you can think of, and in every single um, uh, um, way you can think of, to hear that back from her,
Yeah.
totally. She didn't have to say that to me. Like she could have been like, "Thanks."
Yeah. And just go away. Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna go back to my cats. Gotta get back to this tour. You know what I mean? And she didn't. And then her Taylor and her team, a woman by the name of Tree, I think her publicist, called the show and was like, anytime that guy, like he is that, yes, more of that, please. And I'm convinced that she's part of the reason why I got the job. To be honest, that phone call makes all the difference. You know what I mean?
It does. It really does. So, who have been some of your other most memorable interviews and why?
That's a really good question. I try to answer this a little differently when asked, because you don't want the same response out there over and over and over again. I'll tell you this. The last time I was like, you know what? Rebecca Ferguson from Mission Impossible, also most recently from Silo and Dune, has easily become one of my favorite people to interview. She just shows up with such a dynamic kind of energy. She bends the interaction. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go in and you're like, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get to this, I'm gonna get to this, you're not getting to any of that. You're not getting to any of it. You're gonna be on a ride, like this crazy ass experience with her. Like it's so much fun. At one point, we were leaving the red carpet for the premiere of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 on the Spanish Steps, mind you, of Rome. Never before a host for a premiere. It was only Tom Cruise can do something like that. You know what I mean? When we left the interview, I was like, I don't know about you, but I feel like she was like, we go together, right? Like she was like, yeah. So I was like, I feel like, I said, yeah, I feel like we're dating. She was like, agreed. Agreed.
Nice.
She just has this kind of energy that I found her feeding me. Do you know what I mean? Energetic. It was just a really cool experience.
Yeah,
and for someone, each other. Yeah, and for someone of her caliber to allow herself to have fun like that in interviews, we bonded over the dots on our fingernails, and okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like, "You're my tribe. You're my tribe."
That's awesome. Love it. Now you don't have to name names, but have you also had some real duds as well?
Oh, absolutely. And many that you would be absolutely familiar with, some of which that have recently even been in the news.
Really? Okay. I've had my fair share as well. And
what do you do in the moment when you have when you know this is like you're showing up, you were prepared, you were ready to do this, and you are interested in it being a success, and it seems like the person on the other end is just dedicated to ensuring that this is a flop. How do you respond to it?
So the last one that I had, honestly, I didn't use the video. I couldn't. I just scrapped it. I mean, I'm not going to put something out there I'm not proud of. If they're not going to give that same energy that I'm trying to give, I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand that you're doing press all day, but this is also kind of your job as an artist and a performer, and this comes with the job. You got to talk about what's going on with the project. You got to give me something here. But if you're going to just kind of look off camera and just give me like 1-2 worded answers, I'm not going to post it. I'm just going to scrap it. I'm going to put everyone else who I interviewed from that same project up. I'm just going to leave you out. I'm sorry. That's how it is.
See, Denny, I admire that. I like you. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to give this any more energy. But part of me also now is like, let's air that.
Really?
Let's allow people to see how ridiculous that experience was, right? And also like maybe people need to like a reality check of like, hey, that didn't go the way that you thought it went. You know what I'm saying? And it could have very easily gone another way, or you can decline. the
Yeah, for
interview.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm of two minds about it. Like part of me is like, yes, give it no more time, give it no more energy. But part of me is also like, put it on blast.
I thought about putting it on blast, but then I always think, okay, if I do this, I don't want to piss off the wrong people, So
That and also like maybe the grace that you would hope someone would offer you if you were having a bad day.
exactly, yes. I get it. I have my bad days, and if I was that person, and if I were to see that interview, I'd be like,
Mhm.
no, scrap it. I sound awful. I look awful. Don't
Right.
mess with it. So take it off.
But see, the rub is, Denny, when you have those people who you know it wasn't a bad day, this
Mhm.
is just who they actually
That's
are.
who they actually are. Yeah, it's very disappointing in the end.
You be like, you can take my name off the list. I don't ever have to interview them again. I
Yes.
don't ever need to. I don't. It's because it's also your day. It's also
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
energy. It's also your experience. It's not just
Yeah.
about the person that the subject you're interviewing. So,
Mhm.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Woo! I've had some doozies. That is for sure.
I'm sure I can imagine. Same here. And
I will say this. I've also had those situations where everything in the room went great,
mhm,
and then something in the delivery of the interview
mhm,
or promotion of the interview or posting of the interview has gone horribly wrong,
yeah.
and then you're the face of it, so thereby you're the blame.
Yeah.
I've also had situations like that. There's a part of what we do you have to just be able to release. You have to be willing
Yes.
to say there are some things I can control, some things I can that are within my um, um, that are my responsibility even, and some things that I just have to let go. And so I try
Exactly.
to remember that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of connecting factors into everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Well, who would you love to have an opportunity to interview someday that you haven't yet?
That I haven't yet.
Mhm.
That's a great question. That I haven't yet. This is I would have loved to interview Sidney Poitier.
Okay.
I would have loved that opportunity. It just his story is so incredible. He is so incredible. His legacy is
Yeah.
so incredible. And so in thinking about that, I'm gonna say Quincy Jones.
Mr. Jones. Okay.
I'm gonna say Quincy Jones because he's touched so many avenues, so many parts of the entertainment industry through music,
Yeah.
right? He's worked with the greats,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and he also seems to be in this space in his life where he is willing to tell you the truth.
Yes. He does
You
not
know what I mean?
do not hold back.
He is not holding back.
No.
And yeah, I would love to talk to Quincy about some of the things he's experienced and some of the things he's seeing now, like the ways that music is changing, the delivery of music has
Yeah.
changed, the consumption of music has changed, but also like the art and like what music does Quincy Jones listen to these days? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
What new music, what new artists is he inspired by or moved by?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got some questions for Quincy. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, for people who are trying to make it in this industry, how important is it for them to develop a sense of self-confidence and self-worth?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with those bad days or bad
Yeah.
interviews or things that don't go quite as planned. I think you have to become um, assured, sure in yourself, assured in your ability, in your preparedness, in your desire to like you got to be clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it to
Yeah.
work in this industry and to succeed. I think
Mhm.
I don't run into many people who are just kind of like, oh, I went with the flow and this is where I ended up. Like
Yeah.
I don't meet many people who maybe discovered that way, but certainly not sustained success in this
Mhm.
business that way. And so yeah, it is paramount, I think,
Paramount.
to become very clear about who you are and what you mean to offer, who you are and what you mean to bring to this experience and entertainment for all of us, or for
Yeah.
some of us, for your audience, or for your readers or viewers or whatever. I think that you are better as a result of that because you can allow the things that maybe don't go your way or don't go as planned. You can allow them to be exactly what they are and not necessarily a knock against your um character, a
Yeah.
knock against your ability or your dream or your worthiness.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think it's really very important. And I think I would say that it's very important in any career and for any person doing anything. I think that you are only going to be better once you are reinforced that way, for yourself, for
Mhm.
sure.
Definitely, for
And
sure.
this business is quick to tear you down,
Oh,
quick,
yes.
or wear you down. So even if it's not necessarily someone being negative about you or commentary online or in person, just the pace can
Mhm.
be tough. And so if you're not sure about it or yourself or fueling yourself in good ways and meaningful ways, then yeah, it'll run you ragged real
Yeah.
quick.
Definitely, I agree. Well, have things currently slowed down for you right now because of the SAG and WGA strikes?
Well, I'll tell you, what is the first time in 63 years,
Mhm.
right? And this is the first time in over 60 years that both unions have been on strike at the same time. And it certainly has slowed, stalled,
Mhm.
and terrified most of the industry, right?
Yeah.
And so that certainly does affect a lot of what I do and a lot of the way that I do it. But part of the excitement for me before all of this happened was figuring out other ways to become active
Mhm.
in the business and to
Okay.
find out other avenues, other interests of mine within the business. Excuse me. And also even within the company that I was willing to explore, interested in exploring, and could see be fruitful. And
Mhm.
so we're really just a matter of digging now more into that,
Okay.
um, while also not ignoring or pretending that the real struggle and fight that is happening doesn't exist. Like I'm not trying to pretend like, oh no, that's that problem. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
my problem. So I'm gonna just get busy. But really about like how do we bring people together in ways that like even as young performers or budding actors, actresses, producers, writers,
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. Like, what else can we be doing? How else can we be working together that we're we have other things going at the same time?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That we have
Definitely.
that we're able to wear multiple hats and create multiple revenue streams for ourselves, and
Mhm.
so and with others. And so yeah, like that's really what I'm focusing on now. So in some ways, yes, as when it comes to my role in our show and things like that, there have been some things that have slowed down. But what I would tell you is that whether the show is in production or not, entertainment news does not slow down
Yes.
ever.
Mhm.
My God. My
Definitely.
God. I feel like more news has happened in the last few days. I was like, good Lord,
Right?
could you?
You thought you were gonna get a break, but lo and behold.
No, not at all.
Not
Not at all.
at all. Well, outside your work with Access Hollywood, you seek to inspire others through storytelling and creating content with your production company, Summer Break Studios. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like that's really what in part what I was just talking about. Like it's about finding new ways to collaborate with one another, finding new ways to connect with one another, finding and maybe it's not even new ways, but just actually connecting with one another and digging into um, how we can be of service, how we can operate in service to one another. I
Mhm.
think that in a lot of ways, the industry and our generations and capitalism, let's go ahead and say it, can make people feel like, what am I getting out of this? What do I get out of this? What am I getting out of this? And instead, I think that we're shifting our mind in a pretty significant way and say, what can we offer? Like,
Yeah.
what can we bring to this? How can we our knowledge or our network or our work be a benefit to this scenario, situation, or story? You know what I mean? And so we are in positions now where we're talking to creators and writers about who and where they are, you know what I mean? What this and helping to build these um hopefully like another generation of storytellers that bring them to market, and helping make their dreams come true in a matter of ways. So yeah, we're working on a sports history doc that is
Nice.
really, really very cool. There's a competition series that we're working on right now that is really very cool. And there's a potentially a follow doc scenario
Okay.
that we'll see. I'm already learning quite a bit about the subject in that matter, and I don't know if I'm ready to learn more truth. So we might pause on that.
Okay. Okay.
but yeah, man, the idea is that more stories, more textures, more perspectives, more truth
Mhm.
is better for all of us. So
Definitely.
those are the kinds of projects we're looking for and working on.
Awesome. Well, for the next generation of creators, what is the best advice you can offer?
I say it is going to sound like if you're a person who has watched other interviews of mine, this may sound like the same thing I say every time, but I say that to say, or I say that because I mean it. Like it
Yeah.
is now, right now, today. Get at it, to get after it today. Like there is no benefit in your waiting. There is no prize in it only being perfect.
Mhm.
Like, right, like get after it now. If it's not perfect, put it up. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There has never been a time where there is more opportunity to share. Now, granted, I understand that there are still major hardships and hurdles for bringing your work from idea phase to publish phase, for
Mhm.
sure. But I think that there have never been more places to put content.
Mhm.
And instead of, I take this from Issa Rae, instead of necessarily always reaching up, or out hoping that someone will give us a shot or take a chance on us.
Yeah.
How about you look to your left and your right and see who else is beside you, ready to do some cool shit,
Yeah.
ready to do
Exactly.
something that, in a way that no one else has done or that y'all have never done before. If you're a writer, I'm sure that a photographer,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, or a camera operator, or an editor,
Yeah.
or an actor or an actress. Like you can do. I think about Issa Rae creating her web series and now having one of the most lucrative HBO deals,
Yep.
production deals ever to have been given to anyone, earned by anyone rather, for the network. And like she was literally making web videos and casting off of Craigslist. I was in an Awkward Black Girl episode years ago
Okay.
off of an ad on Craigslist, you know what I mean? And have been in touch with her ever since. And it's funny because now when I see her, she's like, I cannot believe this is where we are. Do you know?
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, like get after it now. Do not wait. We
Awesome.
need you now.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. Well, what are some future goals you hope to accomplish with your career?
Future goals. Future goals. Well, I mean, the dream is to be late night hosting.
Okay. Okay.
The dream is that late night host format.
Mhm.
It is a dream of mine. I have been uncomfortable and resistant to say out loud because I was like, well, ain't nobody who want to hear that from you right now.
Okay.
But I mean, it's the dream. You know what I mean? To be able to bring that energy to people,
Mhm.
that in that format, like I want that for sure. I think I'm shifting away from the idea of it only being valid, it only be mattering if it happens after 11 o'clock. Maybe it's something in a digital space or a daytime space.
Yeah.
But that's the dream.
That's
That's the
awesome.
dream.
Love it. I love it.
That's the dream. Yeah.
Cool.
And to be able to take as many people that I love and that I admire and that um, are beasts in every, aspect. Maybe not every aspect.
That's all.
You know what I mean? But where it counts.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. To be able to take them on that journey with me. Like that is the dream.
Dream. Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, man.
All right, Scott. Well, how can one stay up to date with you?
Listen, you can follow me everywhere on social media. I am literally the same handle everywhere. I am Scott Evans,
Okay.
with 2 T's. It's so funny. Friends of mine calling me and asking about, seeing the credit for Scott Evans and Barbie and being like, "You're in the Barbie movie and you didn't say nothing." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, sometimes I be out in these streets. You just got to tune in and see. You got to tune in and see." Spoiler alert, it was not me.
You sure about that?
But I will take it.
Give you
I
another
will take it.
name.
I will take it.
We'll
So
take it.
yes, when you do get online to look for Scott Evans, I'm the black one.
Black
So
one. Okay.
just to make sure that no one is confused out there. I don't know how you're listening to this interview or what interacting with this content, if it's video or audio or what. I'm the black one. And so if you see the dude with locks, that's me.
That's you. Okay. Perfect.
He's me. Yeah, I'm him.
Okay. All right, Scott. Well, then before we wrap up, are there any other upcoming projects or anything else you would like to mention or plug at this time?
Yes, there are a few things I would love to talk to you about, one of which I'm not, or many of which I'm not sure that I can, but I will say, there is a dating show
Okay.
coming your way like you've never seen before.
Okay.
And I am so incredibly proud of it, so incredibly anxious for people to see and interact with it, and so curious about what the conversations that it's going to spark.
Okay.
And I'm here for all of it. So please, if you remember this, follow me, because we're gonna be digging into some things.
Okay.
And I can't wait.
Okay. Perfect. Fantastic.